right, everybody, it's Tuesday. Welcome back to Worldwide Paranormal Network. We have some awesome guests tonight. You guys are going to die. You guys are like some of the coolest people I've ever known.
I'm really excited.
I know, me too. And then they have this location that they investigate that is just phenomenal.
It's massive.
It's huge. It is huge. They have 12 buildings on this site. They have complete self-containment to the point of they have their own power systems and everything like that.
Yeah. At one time, it was its own city within a city.
Yeah, it had its own. It was completely self-contained. And that is none other than Pennhurst. I'm sure anybody who has been in the paranormal world for, you know...
any period of time.
Yeah, seriously. Because it is so well known just throughout everywhere that if you haven't heard of it, I'm sorry.
Well, you're going to hear about it firsthand.
Firsthand from the people who continue to investigate and continue to research every week. At least every week.
Right. How exciting. I'm excited.
I know. So am I. So, gosh. Without any more waiting, because I know we're all excited.
Right. Without further ado,
we're going to introduce you to Nick, Jesse, Mara, and Tim of the Pennhurst Paranormal Association. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
So how are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
We're doing great now.
Great now. Now that we're moving along and everything's going smooth, we got it up and running, and we've got some awesome people on here. So,
right. I'm excited.
Heck yeah. I've been looking forward to this all since forever.
Well, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been excited. I've been looking at Pennhurst and all the little things they do and different things that are going on there. Not only paranormal, but what they do otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
We'll let them tell about it, but...
Okay, so let's start out with you, Nick. Can you give us a little rundown on Pennhurst and what you guys do there and what you're continuing to do there?
Yeah, we run a paranormal business.
We're in a paranormal business.
Okay, what kind of paranormal business? So does that mean you get paid or everything goes to Pennhurst? What does it mean? Do you give tours? Do you just show people through? I mean, what happens?
Yeah, this is Jesse. I'm going to take over. Nick just started coughing by accident.
Oh,
poor guy.
Get a drink, Nick. Get a drink.
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, the Pennhurst Paranormal Association, that is run out of Pennhurst, and they do paranormal investigations where they bring it's open to the public and private groups. Yeah, there's a fee, and that does go to Pennhurst, and then, from what I understand, a portion of that actually goes back into restoring Pennhurst.
Well, that's really cool. That sounds. Is there something else that you guys have that goes on there? I mean, or is it just a location for paranormal research?
It's a location for paranormal research. My apologies, I would probably said this before. But yes, it's for paranormal research. There's also a haunted attraction that is on location. That I believe is run by Randy Bates, who's also known for the Bates Motel.
Oh,
I love this. I love the movie Psycho, but I'm digging the new series Bates Motel.
It's kind of scandalous.
It is.
Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, did that really happen?
Not once, but twice, yes. So Mara, why don't you tell us a little bit about who your team is and what you guys do?
Well, there's 4 of us, and we each have equally important roles. Ben is the president, and he has researched all the history concerning Pennhurst. He's extremely knowledgeable about what went on there. He also was a skeptic to begin with and now has become a huge believer because of our experiences at Pennhurst.
Well, and that's what makes people like the biggest believers and the most passionate are the ones that didn't believe in the first place, and all of a sudden something profound happens, and all of a sudden there's more passionate than people who have always believed in it.
Right.
And I would say that half the people that come to Pennhurst are skeptics.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer skeptics when they leave. You just cannot explain what goes on there, the voices that you hear, the movement, the it's just, you become a believer on some level. So Nick is our manager, and he is also, I call him the bodyguard, because when I feel threatened or there's negative energy around, Nick stays very close. He's the first one to go into a building. He is, he's fearless. And then Jesse is our tech guy, and he's a scientist by trade, extremely computer knowledgeable and gadget knowledgeable, completely opposite of what I do. And he really, looks at it from a scientific aspect. And it's a beautiful balance to what I do.
Right.
Because he really, goes through everything and knows that in the end it's voices that we're hearing or things that we're seeing that can only be spirits. And I am a medium.
Right.
And so I just see there are hundreds there. I've never experienced that in my life. And hundreds that are just wanting to tell their story. And there's stories that were never told. So it's just, I'm so passionate about the place because it is horrifically beautiful in its own way. The stories that happen there, but also when you go out there, hearing through what happens, things that Jesse's picking up on tape, things that are being said, you can't help but somehow know that they're trying to tell their stories. Whether it's screams, whether it's crying, whether it's help me, whether it's get out from workers there. It's just a fascinating place. So it really changes skeptics into knowing that something's going on, because there are hundreds of spirits roaming that campus.
Right, so it's an eye-opener to everybody, not even skeptics, but believers as well, because I know there's times that we have thought, no way that this such and such can happen. This is our theory. This is what we're sticking with. And I can't tell you how many times we've been kicked in the face with a different reality.
I know. It's like you think you know, and smack, you don't.
It gets you, and where you have a broad spectrum of that many spirits. I mean, you have them all together.
And we have been out there so many times, and each time is new and fresh. There are spirits that we have come to know by name,
right,
who are there all the time, but each time it's so many more that have something to say. So you're right. Even when you do believe in this, constantly sending us things or emails afterwards or EVPs that are just, they themselves are just fascinated at the abundance of evidence that they get.
This is just so amazing for me to talk about, because I don't know if Nick told you or not, but we have a location somewhat similar. We have an old hospital that is converted into, same thing, a haunted attraction. And it seems like it has the same activity. We do the ghost hunts out of it for private and for, public hunts. And it's like you said, you have the same spirits that are there that and it's almost a weird friendship in a sense.
It is. I know there's always two of them that will always be, when I walk in the door, there are two that will be right next to me, right with me. I know that they're there because I can feel them. I know it sounds weird to a lot of people, but
until you get to experience it, then it's a completely foreign concept, right, Maura?
Right.
Yes, it is. And the four of us going out there, because we have done it so often and we're so passionate about the place, it is very, very often saying our name on EVPs, and that's very fascinating, because you have evidence that they recognize you.
Right.
Yeah, it's just I can't even explain what an incredible place on so many levels.
Yeah, we can relate. I mean, it's not as large scale, like as many buildings,
right,
but it seems just familiar. I don't know, haunting,
right?
Familiar haunting, where you have the broad spectrum of pretty much everything. It ranges from the EVP to the shadow people to moving objects,
things recognizing you by name,
right?
People recognizing you by name that that you only know their name, whether if it's through a psychic or medium, or and repeated, confirmation, or through an EVP. That's the only way you can identify with them, unless they sit down with you and say, "Hi, my name is Joe, and I am."
Right.
That doesn't happen. But through EVPs.
Exactly. And
I'm
sorry. The one thing that's interesting there, and I will just say, and then I'll let the other guys speak, is having this gift. I think every medium kind of has their rules and guidelines. Mine has always been, I do not like to be touched.
Right.
Well, that gets thrown out the door when I walk onto the Pennhurst campus. There is zero rules. They're not abiding by that. It's just interesting. It's just nonstop and unbelievable what you can experience there. And on any level, whether you're a skeptic or have done this and are a strong believer and come with your equipment, it's paranormal wonderland. It's just nonstop.
I like that.
And everybody walks away. Every single person walks away with something new that they haven't experienced before.
I like that. Paranormal Wonderland.
Paranormal Wonderland. We should all get together and just kind of dub these different locations Paranormal Wonderland.
Right.
Just kind of bridge the gap between...
Right.
And you know what? I would really like to have, like, a research center. Like, with a whole ton of scientists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Open-minded scientists.
Yeah, open-minded scientists.
Out of the box.
Out-of-the-box scientists that, want to take the box and the out-of-the-box, mix it up together, and make a circle.
Right.
And what I love about our group is that's why we have Jesse.
Yeah.
Just the scientist, and he is very good at what he does, so he is able to break it down and tell what's normal or paranormal, and it's,
And that is valuable.
Oh, it's very valuable.
Yeah, because you have this whole realm of, the spiritual. I have this thing where I believe that the spiritual and the scientific are kind of together. I mean, you can mix them together.
I think so.
And, science can explain some spirituality things, but we just really haven't found the way.
They can't categorize it.
So when we have people like Jesse, who are very analytical, very tech-oriented, and they can mix it all together... But then they're believers and open-minded and everything.
Right.
It's so important. So we love you guys, Jesse. Yay.
Yay.
Thank you, Nick.
Do we have Nick back with us yet?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'm glad you're okay, Nick. Did you survive?
I did. Bad
Phew.
allergies to that. I'm sorry. The pollen is ridiculous.
That's okay. It happens.
I heard it's a pandemic.
Pandemic.
Allergies are going to be just terrible this year for everybody.
Well, I just hate them. I don't care what year it is.
I watch you suffer. It's terrible.
I know, it is. All right, so we're going to get back to Pennhurst. Nick, can you give us like a rundown of the history of Pennhurst? Just so, for people who don't know, what is Pennhurst? What is the history of it?
I'm going to pass that along to Tim because he's our historian.
Okay. Tim, would you mind answering that?
Sure. It's nice that everybody calls me the historian, although my brother is really our true historian, so I'll do my best. Pennhurst was a hospital that was, it actually was said that it was going to be built in 1904. They got the rights to build it. In 1908, it opened its doors. And in 1908, it basically opened with too few buildings because they already needed space, and it was almost overcrowded from day one, and it gradually opened up. Mayflower opened up in the 1920s, so the last couple buildings were open then until Devon which is closer to 1950, and it was built to house people with disabilities, and through that period of time, it had from wards of the state to criminally insane, probably for limited periods of time. Generally, those people did not stay, I'm being told, where they accidentally find their way in the system and then were moved. But those people did actually step foot on the, and live there. And it really had a lot of different abuses that came from the overcrowding and neglect. And Baldini kind of forced his way into the place and exposed the place for what it was. And roughly 20 years later, it was finally closed down after a court case.
Oh.
Wow.
So was the court case because of mistreatment or abuse or anything like that?
Yeah. What it was is, if you really watch the Bill Baldini piece, Stuff for the Little Children, it does a great job, and it's terrific. And if you can sit through it in one sitting, you're a better person than I am, or a stronger person, I guess. But, what it did was it showed the overcrowding and how much money was not being put to use. In fact, they even compared it to animals in the zoo. At the Philadelphia Zoo, we're actually getting more per animal than the average human in patient at Pennhurst. These what's that? Hello? Okay. Hello?
I think you're good. Keep going.
But and it really was just abuses that were patient on patient to employee on patient. It really ran the gamut of a lot of different things when you read over the court case of it. And what's interesting is that anybody that has a person with a disability in their family or someone close to them should really look at this as the stepping stone or springboard for pushing people with disabilities out into society. And you can see the ramifications of that, the good ramifications, mind you, of that all the way into mainstreaming special ed kids today.
Right.
And
yeah.
because of Pennhurst.
Well, I'm glad it's came.
I mean, it's really sad that something like that has to happen for us to, value human life.
Oh, geez.
Even at what we consider lesser person, you know what I mean?
Well, lesser ability.
Lesser ability, a handicap,
right.
Whatever you want to call it. I have been around people who are handicapped and mentally retarded and things like that, and they have their own gifts. I'll tell you what, they can fool me in certain areas. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody that can't hardly pick up a pencil, but they can play the piano like freaking Elton John?
Right.
I mean, serious.
Yeah, oh man, yeah.
Or draw like Leonardo,
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing to me.
You sit there and you got to remember, when you start building these places in 1908 and all the way into the 1950s, think about the things that, like autism, that are really new to society right now. Although the term really, these people went undiagnosed for some of their illnesses that really wouldn't be much more than ADHD today, and you're in a mainstream classroom.
Right.
People just didn't know how to some of these things, and they were told, hey, you know what? Drop your kids off at Pennhurst. This is what's best for them, and don't even look back. And it's very sad. And it's not to say that every parent did that, but the reality is that a lot did.
Right.
Because if a lot of parents didn't, this place wouldn't be allowed to do what it did, or allow this to get, people to get away with this.
Right.
And
Well,
it
probably
did
wouldn't.
for a long period of time.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have advanced to what it is now with a better understanding. I mean, look at Einstein. He was autistic. Look at, there's a dozen of them. I mean,
dyslexia and everything. It's thought that you couldn't even teach these children growing. Back then, like you were saying, we've come leaps and bounds in studies like that, and I believe that part of that is because of Pennhurst. I have seen the Stuff for the Little Children, and it's heart wrenching. It's really hard to watch, and just wrap your mind around the fact that these things did happen, and they happened in the last century.
Oh God, yeah. Well, yeah, it's sad.
And make no mistake, I'm not over analyzing this. This was the stepping stone for deinstitutionalization of people with disabilities. This court case changed patients' rights across this country.
Right.
For everybody. And the Geraldos of the world, were jumping on the coattails of Bill Baldini, and literally all these other places that you might even have a little bit more fame in certain areas, like our area, it seems Byberry was one of those places, but those places were shut down because of the court case with Pennhurst. So this place really is, and I've heard this say this, and I don't want to make this comparison because it's not the same, but people have said this is like
Right, exactly. Well, not only that, but some of those spirits are still there.
Yeah, and they still carry it.
Exactly.
They still, whether they stayed there because that was their home, where they felt loved in a way. I mean, I know they weren't treated the best, but that's all they knew for the most part. For a lot of them.
Many of those spirits are still there.
Yeah, and somehow I think.
Many.
Go ahead, Mara.
No, there's just so many. I mean, it's just fascinating to me being a medium. I'm not used to being swarmed by hundreds, but there's hundreds. I mean, there's so many. There's patients. There's, workers. There's doctors. There's maintenance people. There's spirits just representing everything that happened at Pennhurst. So when you go there and you investigate paranormally, you're coming across, there's a lot of, the people that come up and get in my face initially are people that work there.
Are
they're
they...
the ones that come at us first, as it would have been in the day if you were somebody that was a stranger walking onto the campus. I mean, they're kind of getting to know the four of us now, but they're definitely the ones that are a little bit more aggressive, or some doctors or nurses that we come across, orderlies, or even some maintenance people.
Now, do you think that they are aggressive because they're protecting? Like, it's their natural reaction to, say, when they were living, they were to protect the people that were there? I mean, is that why they're aggressive, or they're aggressive because...
I think that some of them are aggressive because they are protecting or wondering what you're doing there. Some of them are aggressive because they don't know, they do not want their secrets found out of what they were doing when they were there, and so they are try to be very threatening because they know that I can see them.
Right.
And they don't want their secrets told.
And what was
I
that?
would also add to that some of these are aggressive because, they didn't know any other way to communicate. Some of these spirits that are also deemed aggressive are probably just trying to communicate with you. And because they couldn't speak very well, maybe they pushed, or maybe they touched, or whatever. So being pushed down a flight of stairs might not have meant that they tried to hurt you necessarily as much as they're trying to get your attention.
Right. And that's just the only way they know how.
Right. Well, then, I mean...
Yep.
Right. With that being said, I mean, with the aggressive ones, you also had some patients that were just volatile patients.
Right.
They just were. They were back in the day, and they are now. With that being said, we come across an equal amount of very sweet, tender spirits that are you just want to love them. You can just tell that they're mentally handicapped. You can tell that they want to touch you. Exactly what Tim's saying. I mean, you walk into a room of 100 mentally handicapped, who, by the way, it's not like how it would be now. It's mentally handicapped or abused and neglected.
Right.
Most of the people at Pennhurst didn't speak after being there for a while. They were ignored, neglected, abused, so they would stop speaking. Like Tim's saying, a lot of them want to touch, and I think that's why a lot of touching goes on. If you were walking through a room, Pennhurst back in the day, I'm sure that they would be kind of grabbing at you, or, that's just how they would almost, the only way that they could possibly communicate.
Right.
So,
And these grow, I mean, their ages are just so broad. It's from the very young to the very old as well. So, I mean, have you guys found that there's just every age group there?
Pretty much. When they usually came in at a younger age, but they weren't pushed out to any place. So it's, you went, in fact, I talked to Conroy, James Conroy, who did a study on the place, of the people that left. And, the term at that time, which was almost frightening, was womb-to-tomb care.
Wow.
Where they really, where you sat there and you would, and this isn't their terminology. This is what, any hospital across the country would have done. This is not just them. They literally expected you to just drop them off and that was it. And they thought they were giving them the best care. I mean, if you saw some of the pictures of Pennhurst in 1924, say, the place looks like some grand hotel, that you would be dropping off, and it's a postcard. And, the place was
Yeah, and you're expecting them to be taken care of and treated well.
And taught, to, some type of education.
Specialists. I mean, places like that have specialists that know specifically how to deal with these kind of cases. So you wouldn't think that there's all this horrible atrocities.
And no, not taken care of if they bit. I mean, I heard stories of what happened when they bit somebody.
Well, and I think we've got a clip that I want to play here in just a second of Mara going through and giving some impressions. And the things that happened weren't just somebody got beat up or, tied to a bed and left there for 5 days. It went much deeper and much more dark, didn't it? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, one thing I just want to add to what Tim's saying. We did hear from Dr. Conroy, and I think the more frightening aspect of all of this is, the womb to tomb really hit home with all of us. I mean, that is just... We were speechless when we heard that term. That's the term they used. And Dr. Conroy will say, every doctor, every psychiatrist, every priest would tell you, don't let this child disrupt the family. Take them to Pennhurst, drop them off. We'll take care of them. And by the way, don't come and visit them because it will just disrupt them. I mean, these poor kids and adults alike didn't have visitors.
So they were their own family there.
Right. Their own city, their own family, their own each other. That was it.
Oh, that's just really hard. That's really hard for me to even think about, because if you have, basically these doctors, these nurses, these staff members, they're your parents.
Right. Well, and the therapists, if there were any, they're to be your good and bad. They're meant to be there for you when you can't get what's in your mind out into the world, and the only way you know how to express it is, say, like I said before, pushing somebody. They didn't know how to not push somebody, let's say it in words, and it's just, it breaks my heart. I have a really, really hard time with it. It's just devastational.
Right, and then at the same token, it's like, but then, because of this, we now do better. So it's kind of, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating that how far we've come, that now I have a niece who's teaching autistic kids in public school. I mean, this is just fascinating that this happened really not that long ago. And Tim's right. Pennhurst started this movement. Across the world, actually, because Dr. Conroy goes and speaks in different countries about Pennhurst.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, well, good. I mean, hopefully that'll bring a whole lot more awareness as well, as a person who lived that.
Yeah, there's not, I know there's awareness movement groups and there's awareness out there, but I think it needs to be bigger.
Well, if you aren't there, you cannot, even seeing the news story on the stuff for the children, even seeing that, even hearing some of the things that, we're going to play tonight, there's no way I could possibly understand, truly.
Oh, God.
It breaks your heart, but to actually be there, to live it, to not be able to do anything about it, or even participate, I can't even imagine.
It's unfathomable in my
really
mind,
is. It really is. So I want to go ahead and play that clip with Mara, and it's where you're in the greenhouse and you're just picking up on impressions. I just wanted to show this so that we can, just get an idea of the things that, it was a lot darker, a lot deeper, not just, they didn't change their diapers.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and play that. If you guys want to watch it, I kind of cut it down a little bit from what you gave to me, for time restraints. So if you guys want to watch it, go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and play that, and then we'll discuss it afterwards.
Ashes were mixed with soil. I feel as though ashes were mixed with soil, and they were mixed with soil because anybody who was coming to investigate or check out this place would not be coming to test the soil in the greenhouse for dead bodies. They'd be looking out there I feel as though this was a good place for them to hide things. I feel if authorities came to investigate things, they would not be digging up stuff in the greenhouses. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, you don't think of any type of negative connotation in that way.
Well,
right.
If you look at their cemetery, which is nowhere to be found. But if you go online and look at their cemetery, all their tombstones stop until the 1920s. What do they do with the bodies after that?
Right, and let me tell you something. If they were so abusive, this is exactly what I'm getting right now. If they were so abusive to patients, do you think that they would ever, 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 for half a second, take the time to be respectful in their death by digging a grave, getting a coffin, placing it in, and putting dirt over? No, they would throw them in the chimney and burn them. They would not have wasted the time. They didn't have the staff, they didn't have the respect, and they were glad to be rid of them. It's horrible and so sad, but it's true.
She just made me very depressed.
It's so sad. This whole wave of sadness. Like, if they were that abusive in their life, what do you think they were doing with them in death? Certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, not giving them a proper burial.
Necrophilia?
They'd throw them in the oven. They would throw them in the oven. So why do you think that they would not? If there were people that did not have any sort of family checking on them, they were overcrowded, workers were exhausted, it was screaming and loud like all the time, like my head is pounding, stress. Why do you think they weren't like sticking pillows over their head or injecting them with something to get rid of the troublemakers? No one was checking on them anyway. No one was checking on them anyway. And by the way, it's a contained world. There was the hospital. A doctor would be like, they died a natural death. We did the autopsy. There was no one to answer to. No one. No one. No one. It was a playground for psychopaths. They had this very well thought out. But trust me when I say...
I mean, that's a pretty intense angle, because, I mean, for Pennhurst, I never actually had that thought, that mindset, that people could naturally just be that evil. I don't know how else to say it. I know we've had experiences here, but I mean, I've never... You always think of, like, these facilities are here to help people, that they're not... Like, you get some bad eggs here and there, but you never really think of everything's orchestrated, planned out thought, or maybe things just fell into place that way and everyone just let it be, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I can see that.
One thing, can I say one thing, though, in answer to that? How do people normally get in trouble?
Because they get caught.
Is that they get caught. But what I'm hearing is that you isolate yourself with a person or 5 people. Say the group of us isolated ourselves, and one person said we should do this, and the other 4 are thinking, I don't know that that's a good idea, but that person may have the medical knowledge that you didn't. So all of a sudden another person is like, oh, okay, and then another. I feel as though it was the compounded mentality of the isolation, and that it just started whittling away at moral fiber or swaying people to the dark side in such a way that all of a sudden it was like this spontaneous combustion of evil. I don't think it just was like people working here and stuff meant to be evil. I think it was just, I mean, it had everything here. The whole world. You didn't have to leave. So I think it was, okay, we're going to start doing things this way. And it was not just, let's go burn people in the greenhouse, but let's start treating the patients this way. Let's start, you know, it whittled away down to where it got to something so ugly with everyone involved. It was because it was like a pack mentality.
Gotcha.
Who's a butcher? You're talking about a butcher?
The guy in the house at the end of the greenhouse, he called himself the butcher. He's sitting there with like scraggly and like from the movie Deliverance, like backwoods. You know, like not necessarily. He's not necessarily.
Not city folk.
He's not mentally handicapped. He's just. Yeah, there's a difference. Like a low IQ, but also like he has his knife and he says, "I'm the butcher."
I'll cut you up, my little pig, girl.
And he would just do what he was told. And he took pride in it. And they kind of knew that his IQ was so low. I'm getting low IQ. I'm not getting like... So he's still functioning on a level, but he had a low IQ. So I'm getting that if they put him in that position, and by the way, he was fine with it because he was so bizarre. And
almost like the guy on Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. So he was bizarre like that, and he was so fine with it that I felt like they felt like if authorities were to come here and question him, his testimony would not have been... No one would have believed... Right.
Well, where do you think this butcher is, right? Where does he hang out?
He hangs out in that little house that we were in.
Well, let's go.
I just needed to stop for a second because when I freak myself out like that... Oh, God. Can I tell you something just coming down? Holy cow. Oh, God, this is so bad. This is it. Oh, God. This is so bad.
Hey, Mary, look.
Oh, my God.
Looks like a shoulder joint. I don't know. It looks way too small to be human unless it was a baby.
Oh, my God.
There's a lemon.
Oh. Oh, my God. It's like... Ugh.
Still don't see access to that chimney.
I'm not as nauseous as I am just like, it's like, I'm shaking. And it's not a fear shake, it's just a like, it's like death.
Wow. I mean, I was seriously just blown away by that. Just blown away. I mean, and this is... there aren't even words. I mean, Mara, what do you feel? I mean, seriously, I can't even imagine being there.
Well, having to feel all that and hear all that,
exactly.
Low IQ, and nobody would believe him, even though he's the participator of this, and he's just not, people would be like, meh, you know, and even if he was talking, saying the truth, they wouldn't believe him because they felt he was not smart.
Right, and then what was happening in the greenhouse that she picked up on, I mean, they burned these people, mixed them with the dirt so that, I mean, and this is a psychic impression. I'm not going to say that she isn't awesome, because obviously she is.
Right.
Have you guys found any kind of evidence of that?
Well, what's interesting that day, and that was, I was always drawn to go to the greenhouse, and we hadn't been to the greenhouse yet, and so we got all that on tape, and things just started rushing at me. I didn't even know there was a little house at the end of the greenhouse, and I had been there one time prior without really a lot of people. It was Tim and I, and we just kind of, I'm like, what is this little room? And there's a guy standing in here, and he calls himself the Butcher. But the minute that I walked onto around the greenhouses, I just felt bones under the soil. And this guy calling himself the Butcher, and I didn't see the tape that you were playing, but, I have to say, it's very interesting, this gift that I have, because after I said that, I said that to Tim, and we were talking about the guy standing there. He was creeping me out because he had a knife, and he was calling himself the Butcher, and I felt all of this before. And then that day that we were filming, we went over there, and then Jesse found a downstairs, and there were butcher aprons hanging.
Oh.
Yeah.
That freaked me out. Like, I
Well, I
know
bet.
but who knows? Like, I'm only human. Like, I have this gift. But when it's validated in such a way that we go and there's butcher aprons hanging,
Right.
I'm sufficiently freaked out. I think that I have a huge amount of courage to stand up to these people when I see them, because I feel so passionate about the people that suffered there and that it's told, that their stories be told. But it's, I said it from the first time that I went on to Pennhurst, and of course this is a medium talking, and I believe I was given this gift for a reason, and I try to translate what I'm hearing to the best of my ability with no filter. It doesn't matter who I'm offending, or I don't take any of that into account. I'm just telling what I'm hearing.
Well, you're
and honoring the gift that I have. So from the minute of one of the first times I walked onto Pennhurst campus, I said there's bodies being burned.
Well, you're telling their story, so it doesn't matter if anybody's getting offended or not, because if they're telling you this is what's going on, then it needs to be known.
Well, I think so. And then, like we were talking
absolutely.
earlier,
And that's why I don't take into account at all skeptics or whether anybody's believing me. I honor what I have because I know what I see and I know what I'm hearing. And I think that's why things keep coming to me and people talk to me, because I really do tell the truth. I tell what they are telling me. And it just makes sense. It makes sense. When you're taking care of a patient and you're spending less on them than an animal in the Philadelphia Zoo, and you're spending less on them per day, do you really think in death that you're going to take these patients and build a nice casket and, send them back to their hometown or family to be buried, or bury them there? You're not. When you're spending $1.50 a day, how are you going to take the expense to do that? Or the care?
Right.
They were so disrespectful in life.
Oh, I
They're going to
agree.
be like in death. All of a sudden respectful? They were overcrowded. Nobody was visiting. It was like a Jones town.
well, and what year did?
You look back.
What year was it that it was finally shut down? I mean, Tim, can you give us that answer?
1987.
1987. And that,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and Nick, there was a part on the video where you were saying that the cemetery there, the last and latest date was in 1920. It's not like people stopped dying in 1920, right?
Not that I know of.
Well, at times like that, they give the bodies to a mortuary, and the mortuary is paid by the counties X dollars per person.
Well, X dollars per person, but did that happen in Pennhurst, or I mean, what happened?
Where'd they go?
Because they were completely self-contained, right? Nick, you touched on this in the video, so if you know that answer, do you want to help us out with that? Is that a no? Okay, well, maybe not Nick. Tim?
Somebody.
So, I mean, like I was saying, do you know if there was anything that was done, outside of Pennhurst for these people that had passed away in 1920 and on? Is there any evidence of any kind of mortuary coming in Pennhurst and taking these people who'd passed?
I don't know the answer for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Hello?
well, some of those people actually got some of their, some of the people that the paperwork was there probably did get the bodies shipped to them. But I don't know that, I don't know if there's a clear-cut indication of what that is. A lot of these records have been kind of confidential and held back. I mean, you could probably find out some of the answers in Harrisburg, but I can't say that I've gone digging for that information as of yet.
Okay.
But some of the the deaths that are at the cemetery are interesting because of the time frame that they all died and such, where there was, some kind of, I guess, breakout or epidemic of sorts, that took a lot of people at one time. But it is just kind of interesting and definitely gets you thinking about why there aren't more and why did they stop at a certain time.
Right.
Because obviously with thousands of people on the campus and the overcrowding that it had, it didn't just stop then. So, it's something we have to dig into more.
All right.
And
Well,
what's interesting about that is that we were told, I think, was it Tim? I don't remember the exact number. I think there was something like 3,000 people that died while they were at Pennhurst.
I want to say that number is accurate.
Yeah, and then how many people are in the cemetery?
There's, I don't know the exact number, but you can count them. You can count them on your hands and toes almost. It's that small.
It's like 30 graves.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
on the cemetery.
What about the cemetery?
I said there's not that many graves in the
Oh,
cemetery.
yeah, 30 compared to upwards
3,000
to
that
3,000
died.
deaths. Yeah, I mean,
wonder.
cremation.
You know?
Yeah, cremation is cheaper, A, and B, it's easier to. I mean, if no family's gonna come looking for them, because they obviously just dropped and left.
Well, there was, I felt really bad that we couldn't play the entirety of the videos that we got. But in the butcher's house, Nick, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you. So in the butcher house, there was a period that you actually heard children. When you were upstairs. You weren't in the basement. You were upstairs still. Do you remember that?
I do.
And can you kind of set that up for us? What was going on? Do you know the area and why there would be children running around there?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I believe I was standing, everyone was downstairs, I was up in the greenhouse, and out of nowhere, I heard kids laughing, and kind of freaked me out a little bit, not gonna lie. I feel a little weird when I hear little children playing that I can't see.
Right. So it's not just like a psychic impression that you're going to get there. You're going to get, disembodied voices as well.
You're gonna get, there's been a bunch of times where, the first time I ever went out there, and the Limerick building, it was me, my buddy CJ, and his girlfriend at the time, and, we heard a little girl laugh, we all heard it, with our recorders, and we heard her say hello, we said hello back, we asked her name, and her name that she came back with, I think it was Emily, and we asked her how old she was, she said she was 7 years old, and just like that, she said bye, giggled, and that was it.
Aww.
And that's probably one of the craziest experiences I've had there. And you tend to hear that a lot. There's another time I was walking into the Mayflower building. It was a night that I was working up there. I got there about a half hour early, and I opened up the door. I walk in. I set up my paperwork on the desk. I go in the hallway, and I hear the loudest scream. It sounded like someone was being murdered or raped.
Oh.
And, I was the only one there, and, I'm a big guy. There's only a couple things that scare me, and that's spiders and poison ivy. Check them out, Tim. And, I ran out that door faster than lightning striking, and I jumped in my car, turned the radio up, and I drove up to the gate, and, waited for everyone else to get there. So the things you hear, it comes very unexpectedly, but it happens.
Ugh.
Wow.
That's crazy. I don't know if people really can fully understand how you would feel hearing something like that, not being able to see anything going on, but still, it's plain as day in your ears, and then you'd think you're nuts.
Right.
I'm definitely crazy because I'm hearing things.
Well, yeah. Well, and
it's scary too.
Well, the history there.
Yeah,
butchers and and just sad neglect, and it's not a welcoming place, really. They had best intentions.
Yeah, I hope. If that's their best intention, good God.
But they had. It's just it's not. When they lived through it, it's not welcoming. You know, so if you got somebody screaming that, like, they're dying.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, run. Leave a recorder behind because you can go get it later.
I know, that's the paranormal investigator in us. Just leave the recorder behind. It's okay, just drop and run.
Right, drop and run. You'll catch it later. All right, well, it looks like it's break time, so we're going to let everybody go use the restroom and get a drink and all that jazz.
Yeah, we're going to go do about 5 minutes because I'm just so fascinated by this. And then I want to get into the other side of, you know, Pennhurst as well.
Right.
You know, the investigating that goes on, you know, the silliness, because, you know, after investigating for hours upon hours upon hours, I don't know, you get kind of bored when nothing going on. You think up different things. We sing, we make up songs, you know, some people do dances, but, you know, stuff like that. We might have some
asleep.
Yeah, we might have some footage of silliness. We'll see. But we're going to go to break, take about 5 minutes breaks, and then we're going to come back with Larry from Big Time Paranormal. Love Larry. He's awesome.
He's fun.
And then following that, we'll come back with Nick, Jesse, Mara, and Tim. All right, guys? hope you guys all went to the bathroom, got some drinks.
It was a quick break.
Yep, just so that you can sit here and enjoy Larry's segment. Get some popcorn, it's always good. All right, Big Time Paranormal's up next with Larry.
Thank you, Kim and Cammie. Welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez, and I am very grateful to be here with you. I'm very grateful Worldwide Paranormal Network to give me this opportunity to be here with you. Now, because of the schedule for the last couple of weeks have been thrown off because the internet was down, last week's show was actually meant for a couple of weeks ago. So we actually have a lot of different news to cover for the last 2 weeks. But because of the amount of stories, I'm going to actually tell the stories even shorter than normal. So we're just going to do a glancing blow to them. So let's get started. The first story is UFO tampering with nukes is smoking gun. Now, many of you have heard the story about UFOs have been flying over Russia and the United States, even Britain, as far as turning on and off the nuclear weapons in the different nuclear facilities. Former U.S. Senator Mike Gavel believes statements from Air Force officers are proof of a UFO cover-up. He also believes that these cover-ups go all the way up to the White House, and of course, whatever the White House says is basically gospel for the rest of the government. So there you are, a former U.S. Senator, and I'm sure there's others that have spoken about this as well. So we'll keep an eye on that if anyone else comes forward. The next story is a story from, it has to do with a photograph that NASA apparently took. It's a disc-shaped UFO caught in NASA photograph. Now, the image was taken from orbit that was featured in a NASA's website, shows a potentially otherworldly extra. The photograph was, it's an impressive shot taken high above where ribbons of clouds cover. Now, from what I read, it was caught by others, not by NASA itself, as far as seeing the disc. And the disc had a certain glow about it. Of course, you have those that are true believers saying exactly what it is, UFO, and then there's the skeptics that say, no, it's lens flare, amongst other things. But it was apparently something that caught the astronauts' attention when they originally took the photograph. Of course, again, whatever the government says it is, that's gospel. So whether it is or not a UFO, we don't know, but we shall keep an eye on it. The next story is out of Canada. Canadian UFO sightings doubled in 2012. Based on the reports that they've been getting, they have noticed that they have documented, in 2012, they documented 1,981 cases, which is double that of the previous year of 981. Now, this is reports that were taken by the government, the police, and so on. The only places that seems to have not gotten much recognition as far as UFOs is Saskatchewan and Prince Edward Island. So the sightings have been increasing as time has gone by in Canada. I wonder if it's the Canadian bacon they like. I don't know. Now, the next story is about pop star Miley Cyrus. Now, on Big Time Paranormal on Facebook, I had listed a bunch of different actors and singers that had paranormal experiences, and Miley Cyrus was one of them. She had said that this happened in London. She apparently rented a place, an apartment there, that was formerly a bakery at one time. And the idea that she rented it there was because she was touring Europe, and if she had to go to Ireland, she would be able to come back and get some sleep and so on. Well, her younger sister apparently was taking a shower, and the water suddenly got hot, but the knob had not changed. Well, you could probably say, well, that was faulty plumbing or whatever. But Miley Cyrus also had said that one time she was taking a shower and she could see a little boy sitting on the sink with his legs dangling, swinging back and forth, which freaked her out. She had all kinds of other things going on there, but it was enough to scare her to actually move out of the apartment and move somewhere else. Now, this was a story that she had told in Elle magazine, and like I said, I had posted a bunch of other stories to go with, like Paul McCartney having the experience with possibly John Lennon in the studio with him when years after John Lennon had died. Sting was another one, amongst others. So there you go. Now the next story, I know there's a lot of controversy about this. Everybody that follows the psychic community knows the name Sylvia Browne. Now, as many of you know, there was three young women that had disappeared years ago, and no one had seen them. Well, it was recently that they had been discovered. One of the women were able to get a neighbor to help them. That he did not know that they were even there. But unfortunately, Sylvia Browne had told one of the mothers, Luana Miller, that her daughter was actually dead 10 years ago. Now, you can look it up on YouTube for yourself to see the actual show. Unfortunately, because she had told Mrs. Miller that her daughter was dead, the mother went home and she took all her stuff out of it. Thank you, Kim and Cammie. Welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez, and I am very grateful to be here with you. I'm very grateful Worldwide Paranormal Network to give me this opportunity to be here with you. Now, because of the schedule for the last couple of weeks have been thrown off because the internet was down, last week's show was actually meant for a couple of weeks ago. So we actually have a lot of different news to cover for the last 2 weeks, but because of the amount of stories, I'm going to actually tell the stories even shorter than normal. So we're just going to do a glancing blow to them. So let's get started. The first story is UFO tampering with nukes is smoking gun. Now, many of you have heard the story about UFOs have been flying over Russia and the United States, even Britain, as far as turning on and off the nuclear weapons in the different nuclear facilities. Former U.S. Senator Mike Gavel believes statements from Air Force officers are proof of a UFO cover-up. He also believes that these cover-ups go all the way up to the White House, and of course, whatever the White House says is basically gospel for the rest of the government. So, there you are. A former U.S. Senator, and I'm sure there's others that have spoken about this as well. So we'll keep an eye on that if anyone else comes forward. The next story is a story from, it has to do with a photograph that NASA apparently took. It's a disc-shaped UFO caught in NASA photograph. Now the image was taken from orbit that was featured in a NASA website, shows a potentially otherworldly extra. The photograph was, it's an impressive shot taken high above where ribbons of clouds cover. Now, from what I read, it was caught by others, not by NASA itself, as far as seeing the disc. And the disc had a certain glow about it. Of course, you have those that are true believers saying exactly what it is, UFO, and then there's the skeptics that say no, it's lens flare, amongst other things. But it was apparently something that caught the astronauts' attention when they originally took the photograph. Of course, again, whatever the government says it is, that's gospel. So, whether it is or not a UFO, we don't know, but we shall keep an eye on it. The next story is out of Canada. Canadian UFO sightings doubled in 2012. Based on the reports that they've been getting, they have noticed that they have documented in 2012, they documented 1,981 cases, which is double that of the previous year of 981. Now, this is reports that were taken by the government, the police, and so on. The only places that seems to have not gotten much recognition as far as UFOs is Saskatchewan and Prince Edward Island. So the sightings have been increasing as time has gone by in Canada. I wonder if it's the Canadian bacon they like. I don't know. Now, the next story is about pop star Miley Cyrus. Now, on Big Time Paranormal on Facebook, I had listed a bunch of different actors and singers that had paranormal experiences, and Miley Cyrus was one of them. She had said that this happened in London. She apparently rented a place, an apartment there, that was formerly a bakery at one time. And the idea that she rented it there was because she was touring Europe, and if she had to go to Ireland, she would be able to come back and get some sleep and so on. Well, her younger sister apparently was taking a shower, and the water suddenly got hot, but the knob had not changed. Well, you could probably say, well, that was faulty plumbing or whatever. But Miley Cyrus also had said that one time she was taking a shower and she could see a little boy sitting on the sink with his legs dangling, swinging back and forth, which freaked her out. She had all kinds of other things going on there, but it was enough to scare her to actually move out of the apartment and move somewhere else. Now, this was a story that she had told in Elle magazine, and like I said, I had posted a bunch of other stories to go with, like Paul McCartney having the experience with possibly John Lennon in the studio with him years after John Lennon had died. Sting was another one, amongst others. So there you go. Now, the next story, I know there's a lot of controversy about this. Everybody that follows the psychic community knows the name Sylvia Browne. Now, as many of you know, there was three young women that had disappeared years ago, and no one had seen them. Well, it was recently that they had been discovered. One of the women were able to get a neighbor to help them. That he did not know that they were even there. But unfortunately, Sylvia Browne had told one of the mothers, Luana Miller, that her daughter was actually dead 10 years ago. Now, you can look it up on YouTube for yourself to see the actual show. Unfortunately, because she had told Mrs. Miller that her daughter was dead, the mother went home and she took all her stuff out. Thank you, Kim and Cammie. Welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez, and I am very grateful to be here with you. I'm very grateful Worldwide Paranormal Network to give me this opportunity to be here with you. Now, because of the schedule for the last couple of weeks have been thrown off because the internet was down, last week's show was actually meant for a couple of weeks ago. So we actually have a lot of different news to cover for the last 2 weeks, but because of the amount of stories, I'm going to actually tell the stories even shorter than normal. So we're just going to do a glancing blow to them. So let's get started. The first story is UFO tampering with nukes is smoking gun. Now, many of you have heard the story about UFOs have been flying over Russia.
All right, that was Larry from Big Time Paranormal. Thanks, Larry, as always. We just love you. We just love you.
Always love you. It's fun. We had to cut it a little bit short because we were skipping and they kept repeating, and we had a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah, as much as we want to hear the same stuff over and over again because Larry's saying it,
he has so much more to give.
I know.
So
I know. You know what, Larry? Here's a challenge for you. One day you're gonna do it live. You knew this day was coming. You knew it. It's coming. So just start getting prepared. Sharpen You're shaving your razor.
Right.
I'm like your shaving thing.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Just wipe it out.
Sharpen your razor, get some new blades.
Right.
New shirt.
Right, and plan to make, whoopsies.
Yeah. I know, we're just like the complete opposite.
Right.
He needs a script, and we suck at scripts.
Oh my gosh, don't give me a script. It's not going to work. It's going to come out.
That's why we are
In song and dance, be like, peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. I don't know what else to say. Line, please.
I know.
Doesn't work.
Teleprompter.
We even have problems with that.
I know. Just let us do our thing. That's it.
That's it.
Okay,
right.
So as funny as we are, we have some awesome people who are still with us. The amazing Pennhurst Paranormal Association.
Right.
Nick, Jesse, Mara, and Tim. So welcome back, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good. So we touched a lot on the history and the psychic impressions of Mara earlier in the show. So I want to go to, talking about some of the investigations and events and things that are held at Pennhurst. And for that, I'm going to go to Nick and Jesse. We got the tech dude, Jesse, and Nick is the bodyguard, apparently.
Who will kick any butt he has to.
Who's only scared of poison ivy and spiders.
Right.
So...
Spiders.
So beware.
Chase him around with poison ivy.
Do you scream like a little girl when a spider comes around, Jesse? I mean, Nick.
Oh, yeah, he does.
I do. I have all the sympathy in the world for anybody who has a spider within 20 feet of them. I will run after it and squish it. Cammy disagrees with me.
I'm kind of an earth child,
Yeah, Cammy says, don't squish a spider. It's not in your way. I'm like, it is in my vision. It's in the way.
I'm just nice like that. I have, a healthy love and respect and fear for Mother Nature's predators.
It's squish it.
Squish it. Okay.
Spider's a monster.
They are monsters. You want to hear about real monsters? It's the spider.
Well, let me tell you something. If it weren't for those spiders, you guys would have a whole new meaning of monster, as in like bug swarm.
Oh.
Bug swarm.
Well, they can be there as long as I don't see them.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
That.
We are good with that.
Yeah, so let us talk to us about like the investigation part of it and what goes on there and all that fun stuff.
Sure. Well, the Mayflower building, let me backtrack a little bit. Pennhurst is made up of 17 buildings. It's an enormous campus. It's on 117 acres. Right now we have the Mayflower building open. And I'll just show the picture of it. That's cute.
It's not the picture.
Anyway, so the Mayflower building is open to the public. You can rent a private night or a public night. 7 days out of the week. Usually we hold our public nights Friday and Saturday. Privates are Sunday through Thursday. You can book a private night, Friday or Saturday.
Well, where would you go to book something like this? If somebody were in the area, or going to be in the area, or wanted to plan their vacation at Pennhurst, where would they go?
They would go to the website, www.pennhurstparanormal.com.
Okay. And that's with 2 N's.
Two N's in Pennhurst.
Not one, just 2.
So we have spelling lessons from time to time.
Right.
But so what goes on during these investigations, Nick?
First we start off, we give the group a tour of the building, start on the first floor. Obviously we show them the exits in case of emergency. I go over the rules with them. And then I give them a tour. And as I'm giving the tour, I'll explain the personal experiences that I've had in the building. I'll explain experiences that other groups have captured in the building. I'll do that on the first floor, second floor, third floor, and in the basement. I'll let them know that in the Mayflower building, being how big it is, each story or each floor tells its own story. And people will tell you the same thing. And the cool thing about it is, sometimes groups will want me to investigate with them. Sometimes, they kind of want to do things themselves. some groups will just call me in real quick to see if I can spark things up. And the cool thing about it is, with every group that's different, they all come back with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as their experience altogether, to what they experienced, to the type of activity they were getting on each floor. You know, it always turns out the third floor is always the same experiences. Sometimes they're set up in different ways, but they experience the same things. You know, second floor, first floor, same stuff. When we get down in the basement, and we have, you know, we've investigated this building so many times that we have, you know, names for some of the spirits. And hearing when other groups make contact with those said spirits, you know, it actually feels kind of rewarding, you know, that we're accomplishing something.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty awesome.
Well, and what is your main goal? I mean, you guys, you love this place. There are spirits there that you like, spirits there that you dislike. What is the ultimate goal? I mean, for you, as a paranormal investigator for Pennhurst at Pennhurst, what is your goal?
My ultimate goal is obviously to restore the property. Second is all the tragedies that happen there is letting the world know, you know, how far people have come, you know, and to open the eyes of how the struggle people had to go through to get there, you know. I'm just going to jump in real quick. Part of what I like to do is, and I know Tim's on the same boat with me. Actually, I think we're all on the same page with this, is to actually capture a voice that we could trace back to historical documents, placing that individual in that location at the time. It's just mind-blowing. And that experience that's cooler than seeing a full-body apparition. It's that type of, you know?
Well, it links like a truth to it. It's not just an experience. There's validity to it. There's
you have
tangibility
that
to it.
Validation that, you know what? And that's where I think it's just, it blows my mind that people don't say, okay, there are spirits. It blows my mind that it's not a fact that there are spirits, and that people, it's still kind of taboo to be like, yeah, I believe in ghosts. Yeah. You know, because you do have these things. We've caught a first and last name, have been able to trace them back into time as being something at that location.
Right.
And like you were saying, if you get a name, you can find them. Why isn't it a fact all of a sudden? You know?
Right. Why is it still spirits? Because you can already look back and then, you know, it's not like you found the name, you found the information, and then you went back and got the name. It was, you got the name, you looked into it, you found the information about proof of this person's existence.
And that is totally the holy grail of paranormal investigating. Don't you guys think?
Right there with you.
That is, good point, Jesse. Completely agree on that. That is awesome.
Absolutely. And Mayflower is my favorite building on the entire campus. Even though Quaker has had a lot of physical manipulation, Mayflower for me is the top of, you know, the icing on the cake because of every type of activity. Banging, knocking, you can see shadows walking right in front of you, full-bodied apparitions, people getting touched. I mean, you name it, it's happening there.
That's awesome. I mean, you get the whole spectrum, you know. And I'm an instant gratification person. Do you guys use the flashlights in your investigations?
No, we kind of tend to stick to what we consider to be hard evidence, which would be video and audio. If there's any types of tools that we could use along the way to try to capture additional evidence, you know, we're more than open to trying that. I know a lot of people fell in love with the flashlight thing, but I know there's just, you know, temperature makes a huge difference. If there's moisture in the atmosphere, that can make a big difference. So
the heating up of the light bulb makes a difference.
Honestly, we'd relied more on the K2 at that point.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. You just can't get it to go off without something.
Well, you have cell phone interference, but you know when it's cell phone.
Yeah.
We watched the other night 7 K2s around the entire room, all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. And then it would go like, one was right in front of us, then to the right, and then to the right, and to the right, and then up higher and across the room to the right, and then it would come back around. It was just, I was in awe.
Yeah, I love K2.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate enough to, where we actually do deploy the K2, that 90% of the time we're capturing evidence at the same time we're detecting fluxes in the EM, which is, that's cool to have that corroboration. And especially if we're out at Mara, you know, this is the one time I never really believed in psychics or mediums. The only one I actually gave any credibility to is Mara, only because every time we've been at Pennhurst with her, you know, she's been right every single time because we actually had the hard evidence to back up what she was saying was occurring. And that, to me, that's an awesome connection. And it's also, you know, it's bringing the experience, but now you also have that evidence to back it up.
Right, you have something tangible to go along with what she sees and hears.
Well, yeah, and we all know that there are psychics out there.
Right.
And like you said, to be able to take that into an understanding where you can finally have validation and validate somebody else's, you know, impressions. That's huge.
Well, and validity with, you know, with equipment going off at the same time that something else is happening at the same time that she's saying, hey, this is what's going on. It's huge. I love those connections. Love them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the basement of Devon, that building, Mara said, you know, there's kids that, you know, they're singing like the nursery rhyme, and, you know, we capture a voice, or we capture little kids like giggling, and it sounds like they're playing. You know, like things like that are just, it's too uncanny, you know, to say, all right, no, maybe she's on to something. Maybe there's something going on. So, I mean, I'm starting to believe a little bit, but I'm not 100% yet. No offense, Mara. You know, we love you.
Well, you know, you have to have
No, but
skeptics.
it's the beauty of it because, you know, I say to Jesse's like, well, you know, I kind of need to check this out, but it's the beauty of it is we're balancing. You know,
Right.
If he does what he does, I know what I see. But, you know, he's becoming more of a believer because I'll tell him something or a corner of the room and they go over with the equipment and it starts going crazy. I think what's interesting is that they're picking up things and they're hearing things and we hear it hit the EVPs and then I'm able to, you know, I'm seeing who it is and what they're going to say. We've even had things that you hear me say something and then you hear the spirit say it on the EVP right before you hear me clearly say it on the tape.
Wow.
So it's interesting, and that's cool whenever it can be so validated.
Well, and we have a clip here of you guys actually investigating, and there is a EVP at the end of it. You have to listen really carefully. It is enhanced a little bit, but you still have to listen carefully. So if you have headphones, go ahead and plug them in. If not, turn up your speakers and just listen to this, okay?
We'll play it several times.
Yeah, we'll play it a few times so that you guys can catch it. It's at the very end, and it's, like I said, it's kind of quiet in a whisper, but you can hear exactly what's being said. So go ahead and play that.
Help me. Help me. Come over here.
You saw something? Yeah, I saw something come in the hallway and bend down.
Help me. Don't you want to help me? Help me! Down here, help me!
Sounds like we have doors opening and closing.
Help me! Help me! Come over here!
You saw something? Yeah, I saw something come in the hallway and bend down.
Help me! Don't you want to help me? Shh! Help me! Down here, help me!
Sounds like we have doors opening and closing.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I know. So, Nick, that was you in there. You're going to say, help me. Help. Help. You're
He must have seen a spider.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, it was the spider. But no, really, in all seriousness.
He must have seen a spider.
In all seriousness, set that up. I mean, what was going on? Where are you? And are there any claims there that, prompted you to do that, or just the general story of the whole area?
That is in the Mayflower building. That is upstairs on the 3rd floor of the Mayflower building. And that is by far the most favorite place I love to investigate throughout the entire campus. And I can stay at Pennhurst and stay overnight on the 3rd floor of Mayflower. The things that happen up there are just insane. And that night, we experienced a lot that night. And to be honest with you, when we were doing that scenario right there where I'm screaming for help, couldn't hear anything at that time. The guy that we had standing behind me, he pointed down, he saw something move across the hallway.
Right.
And then a couple of days later while I was reviewing the evidence that I picked up on that EVP. So then we went back to the cameras, and we actually caught it on the camera recorder.
Yeah.
We had 4 recorders that night, I think, going in. All 4 recorders, you heard it.
Oh, wow.
It kind of made me jump out of my seat because, I thought I was in Final Destination, and I'm like, watching every step I make to make sure something doesn't fall on my head.
Like a spider?
We always run with we use Tascam handhelds that are high-definition audio. Absolutely fantastic in terms of the quality, but with that piece of evidence, it was recorded on all 4 devices, so there was 2 directional microphones, so it's hearing exactly what the camera is seeing in front of it, as well as the other 2, which were using just the microphones on, so it was picking up ambient room noises as well. And the reason why Nick started yelling for help is because the idea was that it was a nurse's station down at the other end of the hallway.
Okay.
And I don't know if you'll be able to hear it in that video, but when Nick is going, "Help me," you actually hear footsteps coming down the hallway towards you.
Oh, geez.
It's tough to hear on the audio that I think Nick sent to you, but on the other audio devices we have, it did pick that up, and that was great.
So
we have like that series of events where the guy goes, "Hey, I just saw someone bend over," and and then you hear the footsteps and the EVP, your turn to die. It was just within that minute and a half.
Right, so they weren't going to come help you. It was your turn to die.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was like, man.
You're dying. Oh, well. Your turn.
Your turn.
Jesse, I have to say, I barely stopped myself from just laughing with glee. I love how you said, deploy the K2. Deploy the
technical terms, yeah.
We're gonna start using that.
Deploy. You just can't do that. It's not appropriate, dude.
Shake one out, man. Shake one out.
That's fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Deploy the recorder, Kathy.
Right. Deploy it.
Deploy the flashlight. We have some footage. I guess when you investigate a place, it's coming. It's coming. We have some footage of you guys in action at your finest. We're gonna play that.
Put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in, then you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. What the fuck? You put your left foot in, put your left foot out, put your left foot in, and you shake it all about.
I just want to point out that I turned down America's Got Talent.
We need to do like Paranormal Peeps Got Talent show. Right. I'm telling you, because that was fine footwork, singing, and the rhythm and the choreography.
I like it. Well, what else? Cammy and I have said for the last 10 years on our investigations that we're going to put together a CD. I think it's ready to go platinum.
So
I think we should all get together and do just awesomeness.
I know.
Right? Because that was
Video of awesomeness.
That was fabulous. I love it.
Let's watch it one more time.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it one more time because it was so entertaining. And just as that get here,
Bon Jovi.
We'll have to put we'll have to put music to it and caption and all that fun stuff and change
little
it.
ball dancing.
Yeah.
The words.
Here, kids, you put your right foot in.
Right. It just goes to show that investigating is fun. Can be fun, but it can also be serious because there's a real reality behind it of trying to get proof and help people who have passed along and get down to really the root of why they're there and what you can do to help them, really.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that it's not always sitting in the dark talking to yourself for hours on end.
Yeah, because sometimes you got
to do the
hokey
hokey
pokey. Here we go.
Help me. Help me!
That was help me.
That's what I thought about when I seen the hokey pokey.
Kim.
So you gotta love it because like those two people are scared out of their minds, and me and Nick are just doing the hokey pokey,
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times this happened to Cammie and I. People are like running over and jumping over themselves to get out of the room, and Cammie and I are like, huh? What's going on?
Oh, man. Okay, we're gonna try this one more time.
That was a fun night.
Put your right foot in, put your right foot out, put your right foot in, then you shake it all about. Do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. What a foot. Put your left foot in, put your left foot out, put your left foot in, and you shake it all about.
You guys were on.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, he's asking us, how does it go? We're dancing for it. Thank you.
Well,
and that is how we do the hokey pokey.
I put my foot in there.
I did too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In case you didn't notice, I had to look to Nick for the cues. I'm very coordinated.
Yeah, I could tell that fancy footwork. You're rather light on your feet, Nick.
Right. That's awesome.
No, 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 no.
No, no.
That's awesome. That was just great.
That was. Okay.
Well, just, humor with investigating. You gotta have it or else you're gonna go cuckoo. Sitting there for like 8 hours.
Believe it or not, I mean, it looks funny, but the evidence that we got in return from that, I sing a lot of children's songs. I do a lot of dances. I'll even play games with them where I'll get intelligent responses, and I'll do, I'll sing a song, row, row, row your boat, Mary Had a Little Lamb, or I'll skip down the hallway. And trust me, I've embarrassed myself a lot worse than doing a hokey pokey.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, I wish we had the footage of Nick skipping down the hallway. That was perfect.
Next time.
Yeah, well, just, it's just different tactics to use different things. I know we've done Ollie Ollie Oxenfree and Marco Polo, and you just do different things to relate with the people. And it works. I mean, obviously, you got evidence from that. I can't tell you how many times.
Yeah, even just sitting there talking.
Right, shooting the breeze.
Yeah, just shooting the breeze. They jump right in.
Oh, yeah. They call us weirdos, and two others on another recorder go, they are, And, it happens. It happens.
Shock them.
Right.
It's shock and awe. That's what we refer to it.
Shock and awe. But yeah, it's I like it. I'm glad we're not the only ones who do it. To be honest.
I know. It's refreshing.
It is.
It's refreshing.
It is refreshing.
So.
Well, and the fact, you get stuff out of that.
Right. You do.
You're not some lame adult sitting there asking the same boring questions to these younger children who have, disabilities, whether they're carried with them to the afterlife or not. I don't know.
I don't know.
But they're still little kids. So
some
they're going to
of them,
play. Right. So, yeah, some of them. Not all of them, obviously, but let them play.
it's amazing what will be injected into your conversations when you guys are just the focus isn't even on it anymore. You're just talking amongst yourselves.
Right.
And you hear someone just add in something in the background or anything like that. We had a really cool 5-minute EVP one time where our friend CJ went in and he was in with these little Dixie cups and he's like, all right, your medication, please come over and take your medicine. Actually, Nick was here for that. And he set down the recorder, everything else, and they're just talking amongst themselves, and you just start hearing this heart monitor beep in the background for 5 minutes.
Oh,
and
wow.
The beep, the spacing between the beeps kept changing, and I was like, there's no piece of equipment we have that even makes that noise. So, like, if the batteries die, they die. It's not like beep, 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 it's nothing like
right.
that. So, things like that are just, those are really cool.
It is. I caught a blood pressure cuff once. The old shh ones.
Yeah, and then
the air come out. That was cool too. So it wasn't 5 minutes. It wasn't nearly as impressive, but I was like, what in the frick is that?
Right. Well, that just goes to show that,
What was that?
How was that? So it just goes to show that the stuff that was there, whether it's residual or intelligent, is still going on in a way. Like, I got an overhead PA system at, our haunted hospital out here. And it's just
calling the doctors.
Calling the doctors. The PA system hasn't been around for a while. They took those wires out to use for electronics for the Halloween props, They weren't even up. They weren't even around. And it just, the stuff that you get because of the past is just awesome. Love it.
I know. So when you guys go and investigate, this place is really, really famous for the paranormal activity that goes on there. You guys have had a whole lot of people that have come across and investigated there, even to the point of where you're having events there. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I've got a slideshow of just some slides, and I hope we have the mic hooked to it so that we can just talk over it. But there's, Mark and Debbie Constantino. I mean, who else was that you sent me, Nick?
Beverly Mitchell from Seventh Heaven. She was my favorite. Such a sweet. She filmed the movie out there. She was also on Bio Channel's My Celebrity Ghost Story. And then she did another show with medium Kim Russo on Bio. I think A Haunting of. I don't remember the name of it. From people from Paranormal State have been out there. Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. I mean, you name it. And of course, one of my favorites, The Walking Dead. If you remember Merle, Michael Rooker, he was out there. Oh.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've got a picture of him there. I'm not sure, but I think.
No, he's not there.
Oh, no? Oh, bummer. I thought we did. Oh, well. But we also have a clip of you guys in the basement of the Mayflower with Daniel.
Yeah.
They're kind of a new, it's Haunted Encounters, right?
Yeah, Dan Hooven.
Yeah. And he's known for, he's got this whole Pandora recorder going on. Can you explain what that is? For people who don't really know, how does that work?
That is top secret information that I cannot disclose.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, no details, just like...
What does it do?
I took an oath. No, it's just a recorder, you can record real time and play it back instantly. What's awesome about the Pandora is it has a voice activation mode, so it only records when that human voice is detected. So when it's not within that frequency, it won't record. So when it is recording, though, there's a light on it that'll go solid, and it's a great indicator that you have that in the field. Go, okay, great, we just captured something. What is it? You can play it back. You can slow it down, speed it up. Anything you'd like to do with it.
Oh, good. That's nice. I have a hard time with real-time recorders because there's always that delay. Well, it's fun to make fun of the person who's wearing a headset.
Well, this one is different. We have some real-time recorders that we have that has a delay, and it's so hard. It's like such a team effort.
And you don't even know when you get something. You will never know you get something until you rewind and play. Well, and you're listening to it. You'll know.
Hear it.
You'll know, but as far as lights or anything indicating that there's something else that's being said on a different frequency. We don't know. We just have to depend on our ears, and we review it later, and we either find something or we don't.
Well, we're gonna play this clip here, and it was in the basement of the Mayflower, and you guys were talking to somebody that you refer to as the King. Can you? I mean, what is that? How did you find him?
That's Mara's department. She's being.
Okay, Maya.
Well, there's a guy in the basement of Mayflower. He stays there. We see him every single time that we're there. He's probably about 6'7" or 6'8".
Ooh, that's big.
Really big guy. Really very threatening. Tries to be intimidating. Nick and I were in the basement. I think all of us were in the basement of Mayflower, and when this happened, and I'm talking to him, and he says, Nick says, "What's your name?" And he said his name's the King. And Nick says, "What makes you the King?" He didn't say it in that nice of a tone, but so Nick's like, "Why the hell are you the King? What makes you the King?" And he said, "It's my domain."
Oh, so territorial there,
Territorial, yeah.
Well, territorial, and I feel like it's interesting because he always kind of shows himself. I almost feel like he was a maintenance guy, but I also feel like he was given responsibilities for disciplining. I also think he was abusive to children and women. He's definitely comes right up to women, and is kind of like tries to be the player in a sense. But he's the guy. He's like the guy in a bar that you would be like, really? How has that ever worked for you?
Nobody is that drunk.
He does really come up on women, and he tends to really not like men being down there, and but he's definitely he tries to be very intimidating. He makes me uncomfortable. And I know that Nick has seen his face staring down at him one time. I know that Jesse has seen him walking down the hallway.
Huh.
Wow. So
well, that's scary. Does he scare you, Nick? I mean, I know he's not poison ivy or spiders, but does his does his threatening nature shake you at all?
He doesn't shake me, but he is really tall.
Size matters.
He's a big boy. But no, he doesn't scare me. He's a what's the word I'm looking for? Crybaby, maybe. He's.
I always say, and I don't. It's like I try to translate what I see and hear correctly. I feel as though he was the guy in high school that was just a real. I hate to use this word because it almost sounds like so horrible referring to high school, but he was almost like a real loser in school that he wanted to be the big man, and he didn't quite cut it, or he just went around acting almost rude, trying to be the big man, and then he went to Pennhurst, and then he was the big man, in a sense of like being able to be that threatening and intimidating to children and women.
Well, and he's also touchy, isn't he? Like physically, he touches as well.
Oh yeah.
Wet willies.
Wet willies.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing that he did. Nick and I were standing there, and we were with some people who were recording, and so we're being quiet, and all of a sudden Nick and I look at each other at the same time, and he was right in between us. He was giving us wet willies in our ear.
Oh, I'd be wearing earplugs.
At the same time.
Ew, ghost germs.
Even when Daniel Hooven was down there on that video, he kept touching him, and Daniel's another one that, he really doesn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
He's definitely, I love to touch, and he can be intimidating. I don't like to go down there without Nick, as we say, the bodyguard.
Right. He's like, somebody has to protect
I kind of like to lose myself in the crowd a little bit, he doesn't let me do that. However, he's there all the time, and he stays in the basement. And actually, a group that was just out there last weekend sent me an email this morning saying that they got someone saying king. So he really does consider it his domain, and it's going to be questioned if anybody walks into it.
Huh. Well, let's go ahead and play that clip. I mean, you've got it at the beginning where Daniel's being touched, and then it just kind of morphs into his Pandora recorder. And then there's something in there. You have to listen really carefully. It's a little bit towards the end, but just listen to this.
Come on, pal. I think I got a picture of your friend over in Quaker, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is this your buddy in Quaker, right here? The doctor? Do you help them find candidates?
We're going to go again. You have the form. Once again, you guys leave the question. No more than I do at this place. 1, 2, 3.
King, come on. You can do better than that. Tell me what you said about me. And what did you say about Jesse? What's the guy's name across at Quaker? I know he's your buddy.
You got some serious hostility issues, man.
Do you find him candidates?
I happen to think that you pick on women because you were a big loser in high school, and now you can be the big man picking on the feeble here. One time you said that you thought I was the pretty and popular type in high school. Are you still thinking that, King? I would have never gone out with somebody like you.
We're going downstairs. Okay, we can end it. Right there. Okay.
Remember when he said that?
Yeah.
He's like a loser. I thought he said something. Wait, come here next so you can be quiet.
Say fuck Jesse?
Oh no, he's fucking everybody.
I don't like Jesse. Clear. Listen.
Wow.
It echoes. That was awesome. That was crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, you guys, I saw that Daniel was getting touched numerous times. It just wouldn't, like I said before, I wish we had enough time to play all of those videos because they were just amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't just, it showed there's more to it.
Right. He was being touched. What else was going on in there? I mean, he was getting touched, or did you guys get more EVPs than that?
I don't know who wants to speak, Tim.
Whoever wants to take it.
I mean, this is so normal for us. It's almost like we're just so used to it. It's always so fascinating, but this is just, when I say constant, this is what happens all the time. It's touching, it's words, it's interacting. I don't know, you guys can speak up, but there's just never a dull moment.
No.
That's always good, because I like instant gratification.
Right. Instant gratification is always the best.
Right. I like things like that.
Yeah,
that
that's
just always on the
fascinating
go.
when you can get it back. Like, on Pandora with Daniel Hooven. I mean, that's really fascinating.
Well, he's got a kind of a filthy mouth. He's got a potty mouth. He doesn't like you guys very much. That's for sure.
So, you guys give the tours at Pennhurst. So, real quick, if anybody wants to go, is in the area, like Cami said, take a vacation and go through Pennhurst, how do they get a hold of you guys for investigations and
to book
get
one.
a tour and things like that?
The quickest way is to go through the website, pennhurstparanormal.com.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, and Kim has that up there on the screen for us. Thank you. And I think it's time, Cami.
Yeah, it's time. It is. I wish we could go over, but it's, these people are so nice to come on, and it's kind of late over there where they're from, back over in
Jersey.
East time.
East time.
Jersey,
Joyzy.
Joyzy. And
Come on, this isn't late. We're used to being in buildings till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Right.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, for a paranormal investigator, late is not late.
Right.
Late is not late.
Late is not late. But it is that time for us, though, to wrap up. And I'm sorry, what was that?
My night's just getting started.
Oh!
You guys are diehards, jeez. You're hardcore.
I'm also on vacation, so this guy, he might disappear for a couple of days.
No, vacation.
Love it.
Love it.
Well, we want to say thanks to you guys for coming on. I mean, I want to have you back on. You guys have a lot going on that, you're just not disclosing, so we want to
scratch the surface.
Just scratch the surface.
You can't investigate a place like that for that long, for that many, that often, and not have more.
And then there's still investigating going on, and still events being held there. So we're going to get you guys back on at some point. I don't know when, but you will be back on.
You will be. If you want to or not, apparently. No.
So just thanks for coming on, you guys. It has been...
Well, thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. It's been our honor. I love hearing about haunted locations and other people's experiences. I'm glad to know that we're not the only ones that do the hokey pokey.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you next time.
All right, thanks a lot.
Night, guys.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay, so
that was fun.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that was so amazing to me.
17 buildings. How would you get through all those? There's no way you could get through them in one night.
I'm sure they don't even investigate them all. I know that there's some that are in disrepair and have some health risks if you go in. So I know that they're, like he said, he's trying to restore them. Hopefully that does happen because, I mean, the place sounds just phenomenal. And I hope to get there one day. Hope to get there.
We'll be there. We will be there.
We will be
Not
there
even
one day.
a concern. We'll be there. So, Cami.
Yes.
Who do we have next week?
Who do we have next week?
Huh.
Well, do you want it or me? Me.
You.
Okay. So we have next week, we have Grant Wilson coming on. He's going to tell us about his paranormal experiences. God, I'm just... Ugh.
We're going to Grant the man.
Grant the man, the investigator.
Right. He's the investigator, who he is now, what he does, and he's, still involved in the paranormal field. It's just any advice that he can give to any of us paranormal investigators, new, old, been in the field forever, just starting out, because it's always good to take other people's advice, especially since they do it so much. He investigated every weekend, every week, for weeks on end.
Well, and then not only,
years.
you know, so Ghost Hunters, it was really popular. I mean, when I first started, it was on. And they were investigating, you know, before the series. Like years before the series even started. So there is just a whole, just gigantic shoebox full of knowledge that we're going to pick his brain.
Oh, yeah. We're picking. I bet you, you know, if you guys have any questions to type, you know, to ask, type it in there, and we'll, you know, see what we can get to if we haven't already got to it, because, wow, we got a lot of information to go over.
I'm really, really excited, and that's not all we have lined up, but that's what we're going to talk about
next
this
week.
time.
We have quite a few things in the works, and people are calling, wanting to talk to us, so
it's exciting, very exciting.
I want to share their information with you.
Right. So just remember, you guys, same place, same time next week with Grant Wilson, and just always remember that we are not alone.